Hello everybody, and welcome to the first episode of Age of Empires 2. In this game, it's one I recorded earlier. I have sped up the footage 2 times because otherwise it's a 50-minute game, and I think it should be okay if I speed this up. So if it seems a little chaotic at times, then I'm sorry, but yeah, this is also sort of a check if this would work for me. Anyway. I started this game, so I think I'm the Mayans, or at least one of the Indian races. I can't really tell on the preview screen I've got here. Maybe if I can enlarge it a little bit. No, this is not improving things. Okay, anyway. Yeah, you originally see me here gathering up the sheep, or is it llamas? I think it's llamas. And sending my villagers to work. One of the villagers I sent to clearing out some of the early trees on the side. And yeah, gathering my first food. Food in the start is quite important, but also I find that it's useful to wait with building farms as long as you can. That way you can fully focus on your food production rather than your wood production. Which then again also means that you can advance to feudal age quicker. Now this is a very old game, I should say, but this is a re-release. There's a re-release of this. I don't exactly know when, but it's in HD. It's included one of the expansion packs. It's called Age of Empires 2 HD Edition. For those of you interested, it was on Steam sale. I don't know if it's still on sale now. I would expect not, but I thought it was relatively affordable. I think I paid 6 or 7 euros for it. Something like this. Anyway, it's well, obviously is a real-time strategy game from back in the day. It has the four resources: food, stone, wood, and gold. And of course, depending on what you're building, it requires a certain amount of each of these resources. There's also a population cap which you can set up. Set up at the start of the game. I set it in this game, I believe, to 500. I'm not entirely certain about this, but yeah. Anyway, you get a little supply cap here. Forgetting to build. Oh, I already fixed it. I see. It seems. Yeah. Anyway, what was I going to say? Yeah. Age of Empires 2. It was a game I played a lot when I was a real small kid. The last time I played it, I believe I was 10 years old, 12 years old, something like this. Anyway, I played it a lot. This was actually the first video game I really played a lot, so it has a lot of nostalgia for me. But I never really played it to get good at it, so to say. So I really just played it because it was awesome that I could play a video game where I could control armies. This was basically all there was to it. Yeah. Anyway, you see me here trying to improve a little bit, but it is still set to standard difficulty. I find that standard difficulty is quite easy for me, whilst moderate difficulty is really difficult for me. So I still need to improve a lot before I can really say I mastered this game. But for the time being, I'm going strong here with my. I think it's the Mayans or the Aztecs. I wish I remembered this. Would have been a lot better than just trying to guess now. Well, just advance into feudal age. I believe my timing here is a little off. I think I could have gotten there quicker. Maybe I got a little greedy with the amount of villagers I made, but I'm not sure actually. I could have put more villagers to food first. I think I timed my wood production a little bit wrong here. In theory, I did not need that wood, so therefore these villagers are villagers that could have been working on food instead. And I still had some bushes left by the time I started my feudal age, which means I guess it's a little early, but I'm not too sure about this. Anyway, I am now starting to prioritize wood a bit more. Maybe I actually did it quite right in this playthrough. Can't really say. Also, that button you just saw of me just making, just queuing up a farmland. That's such a relief. I don't think that was actually in the original game. So this was something that was added in one of the expansions, I believe. So back in the day you just got a little pop-up message saying one of your farms has expired, and then you would have to go back for each and every single farm you made. A royal pain. Definitely late game when there was already a ton of stuff that preoccupied you. But they improved this, of course. Now, what I should have been doing here is already get a guy started on gold, because that's required for the next stage. And castle age is something you should try and get to quite quickly, because the castle is an amazing defense structure. And on top of that, besides it being an amazing structure, it also builds your race-specific units, which is always good. For whatever reason, it's always good. There's also, I don't think I actually figured this out in this Let's Play already, but they added race-specific upgrades at the castle as well, which is, well, really powerful actually, I've noticed. But initially I ignored those, because back in the very early versions of the game, just the basic game basically, this was not included. But now with this HD edition, it is all included in the standard game, so that's something you don't have to view. But back in the day, most of the upgrades at the castle were really not that important. They were very powerful, but they were often like things like click this button for 10,000 gold and you can see the entire map, which is of course very useful, but you never really got 10,000 gold, so it's not really something you would do. You see me here finally going for gold. I'm going for the gold far away from my camp, because I want to deplete that as far as I can for as long as there's no hostility. When hostility starts, I can very easily move to the gold near my camp. That way I've already mined some gold away from my camp, and should things get hairy and it becomes difficult for me to get gold, I can always move to the gold camp closer to me. And it will have more gold in it, so I can maintain this siege longer. Yep, okay, building up lots and lots of wood. To be honest, my past experience with strategy games tells me that if I'm using my, if I have resources too much, then I should be using them for something. But yeah, an overproduction in wood is generally not that terrible, I feel like. But again, I've not really optimized my skills to a point where I feel like I should be giving people advice on how to play. But yeah. I am building the start of an army, just because I might be getting attacked and I want something to repel an attack with, should it come. I find an overproduction in wood and food, this combination, to be actually a very nice thing, because it gives you a lot of flexibility as far as building armies concerned. Yeah, also, you see me do it there. Get your villagers to walk as small as possible a line between the building where they drop off their resources and where they gather it, in this case of wood, or the woods. That way the path they have to walk is smaller, therefore you'll generate more resources per dude actually working there. It really pays off for the resource production. Now in this particular game, for some reason the PCs were very, or the CPUs were very tame. They weren't very aggressive towards me, so I could basically build up my my defenses here quite easily. I don't think I've actually seen any of the enemy yet, which is surprising. Normally you would come across them sooner, but yeah, also the map size is a bit bigger. Perhaps that's why they have not come across them. From observing these CPUs, oh, that's actually the first time I've seen the enemy. Well, this is just a scout, and as long as he doesn't bug me, I don't feel like chasing him down all the way. So yeah, I let him live this time. Perhaps I should have killed him. These CPUs generally have the tendency to go for these relics as soon as they can. They also attack towards the castle age very fast. I generally am a bit slower at this point, because I figure out too late that I should be getting gold. I think actually I'm quite close to getting it right now. It's for me a bit difficult to see in my small preview window. Perhaps let's see if I increase my window size. I should be able to increase my window size, right? Okay, I can't really tell very well. It's for some reason it's giving me a poor resolution in the small preview screen. Oh no, this actually bothered me. I don't know if you should have seen it there. One of the monks actually just took off with my my nice and beautiful relic, which I wanted. Relics are very nice because they generate gold over time, and that's absolutely free as long as you place it in one of in the monastery. And this gold over time is something very nice, because gold is definitely a finite resource, as most things are, but gold is the thing you generally run out of first. So one thing that's nice to do, and I actually do this quite a lot when I play this. I play this often with my cousin or a friend. and then you can trade between marketplaces and stuff like this. It's also actually that much. It's such a nice thing to actually have this this trade that it might even be worth just leaving a market of one of your enemies intact, just so you can trade with it, just to generate income. Yeah, you can, depending on the distance from your market to their market, you can get 100 gold for each trip, which is a lot. So if you have like 10 or 20 carts running back and forth, that's a significant gold income. I definitely would recommend this. I don't think any number of experience would dissuade me from doing this. This is also the first time playing with this race. I only recently got this expansion, or this version of the game, I should say. And in the original version of the game, the old Windows 95, I think it was, 98, not sure. Anyway, when back in the day when it came out, these guys were not in the game. They were in an expansion pack I never got. By then, I already switched to a different games. But yeah. Also, I got a PlayStation back then, I believe. That's basically where my where my money as a child went to. Not necessarily towards PC games at the time, because at the time we only had one PC in the entire household, and I had to share. My PlayStation is one I had entirely for myself. Strange thinking back on this, that we only had one computer in the entire house. Also, did not have internet back then, which is again even stranger. But yeah, things moved fast. Anyway, I'm starting to tech up in this game. I did see my first enemy. Also, one of the monks tried to convert me when I chased after the relic. But yeah, slowly but steadily I'm building up towards actually large-scale production, which in this case now actually means I'm very close to getting my first castle. And the castle is actually what the key thing to get. I always feel like in this game. When you get going in this game. Oh, here I need to do some other stuff, I believe. Yeah, there we go. The reason this game I did not cast live is, first of all, I still need to learn to play this game. So I find that I turn quiet when I play this, and I'm trying to record it as well. But also, I was doing other stuff at the time. There was people over, and I had to pause on numerous occasions in between. So yeah, I don't think a live recording would have been the way to go. So I'm for the first time trying to talk about what's going on afterwards, which is quite difficult because now I already have a little bit of knowledge of what's going to happen ahead. My placement of the castle, I always try to think of this where the most likely angle of attack is, which is quite interesting in this game, because you would want to place this castle somewhere where it serves a defensive purpose as well as of course your economic service. So despite just giving you some very powerful units and some very powerful technology, it's also a defensive structure, which initially might seem a little overpowered, that you have this one superstructure which basically does everything. But because it's also such a powerful defensive structure, it's also, you need to think about whether you, to put it somewhere where the defensive capabilities of it get used, but also somewhere where where it wouldn't get destroyed, because it is quite a big investment, and if it gets destroyed, you basically lose these powerful units and also the technology upgrades you would get with it. So you really have to plan this out carefully. So I generally try to pick a spot where if it would be destroyed, it basically means my entire army got overrun and my base is basically doomed anyway. But it does still serve a purpose for defense. In this case that meant on the bottom side of my camp, because let's see if I return. Yeah, there we go. You can see I put a line of houses on one end of my camp and the castle on the other end. This way if an attack comes, it either has to run around these houses. On one end it could run relatively unhindered, but it's quite a chokehold, so I think I could defend this with units, and on the other hand it would come past my castle, or it would have to go straight through the houses, which is definitely a possibility, but it would slow them down. I mean, if my houses get destroyed, it basically means my army is already under attack, and I probably am not maxed out, so I'm not very sad if one of my houses get destroyed. There's also an upgrade building there in the wall. Or wall, I should say this. Not necessarily a wall, but a wall of buildings is what I should say. That upgrade building, the blacksmith, is a very important building, don't get me wrong, but if I'm getting attacked to a point where my buildings are getting destroyed, I kind of feel like I'm not building upgrades at that time, so it really shouldn't be that big of an issue. I can always rebuild it later. Wood production is generally not one of my big problems. Okay, there we go. Monk's doing their thing. Not before the guy gets killed, unfortunately. Longbowmen are quite powerful units. That's also a nice upgrade I just did at the castle. It makes recruitment time of units a fair bit slower. Well, fair bit quicker, not slower. This means I generally don't require as much... you don't require as much production buildings, which is also why usually you don't see me build 2 barracks. But for instance, 2 stables is quite common for me to do. This race does not have any stables, but this would be something I would do. Castles are generally built a lot because of the defensive purposes, and also the units they get from them are usually the most impressive of your nation, so really no reason to not build more of them if you have the stone to do it, that is. This game I did have a lot of stone at my disposal, if I remember correctly, so I think I built 3 or 4 castles. No idea if this is a good or a bad thing. As I said, I've not really optimized my game to a point where I can tell. But yeah. I am constantly increasing my food generation, because food and wood are basically 2 things that you find yourself needing a lot, or it's easy to get a lot of, and you can use them directly, those 2 resources, to build units. They're not the best units. The best units are built with gold and something, so for instance gold and wood or gold and food. But yeah, gold is slightly more difficult to get your hands on, and even with relics the income is not spectacular, so yeah. Okay, let's see what we've got here. I'm working on my upgrades, getting a decent advance or advantage over my enemies. I can also, in the bottom right corner, you can see I opened a list of scores, so I know more or less where the enemy is at opposed to me as far as power is concerned. It's not a super reliable number, I feel like, because at the start it always says I'm doing very poorly, while in replays I don't really get this feeling. But yeah, right now I'm quite confident that the enemy, if it does have an army, it's not one that can utterly crush me. So I can sit back and improve my economy a bit further, and use this advantage I have to get ahead further, rather than try and throw it away in some desperate move to create something. So I'm getting my economy to a point where I feel like I first of all have the superior units, and also the superior backup economy to build more army afterwards. I am going to overproduce gold at this point. Not necessarily sure if this is a good thing or not, but yeah, if you're doing upgrades they always cost gold, so I figured a large gold production would be a good thing. So I have a lot of guys on gold, I think 15 at the moment, or 12, something like this. Which I feel is a lot, but then back in the day when I played this, when I last played this a lot, it was the cap was set to 75. This was later raised. I feel like it was the HD version where they actually did this. They raised the unit cap, but 75 was back then the unit cap. So 12 guys on gold would be a lot in that. But 500 guys, 12 guys on gold, I don't really feel like that's a lot. But they do clear out the gold patches quite quickly, so I'm not entirely positive about this. Now you see me here build the trebuchet, very expensive unit, but also, well, basically it's the best ranged unit you can build. So yeah, there's really no reason not to. You could build catapults, of course, onagers and siege rams as well, which definitely have their use, but I find them just inferior in general to the trebuchet. I mean the onagers are also very difficult to use, because first of all they don't have the same range as these trebuchets, so they do get into range of a lot of towers and castles. I'm not sure, and I think it depends on what onager you get, whether it's the siege onager or anyway. one of the catapults, but also they have splash damage, and a lot of splash damage. So generally when they're attacking a building, there would be other soldiers of yours nearby that building, or could be nearby that building, and for some reason when I'm launching this attack, I always find myself at least once throwing a bunch of stone with these catapults to my own guys and doing a lot of damage, and then in the aftermath of the battle I'm wondering to myself, did they actually help out, or should I just have built something else? Battering rams on the other hand are very useful. Not especially against cannon towers, but yeah, cannon towers. They're not necessarily something that's built a lot, and most units can't even make them. But if you do come across them, battering rams are not ideal. Also, they have to get up close and personal, but so it basically means you need to have a superior ground force in order to do damage. Where the trebuchet can just sit back from range and do damage. It's basically also the ideal unit to get back in a game when you're on the backhand. Build some trebuchets, build a defensive line, and then slowly push them back. That would be the way to do it, I feel like. Yeah, okay, you see me here build tons and tons of pikemen. That's because they don't require any gold. Same with the skirmishers, they don't require gold. Basically, when I play this, I decide what unit I want to build. Usually it's the one from my castle that requires gold. I build some siege equipment with gold, and the rest I use my excess wood and food production for. So I generally build a lot of pikemen and archers. Also this light cavalry, if they have the last one, the hussars, or not really sure what they're called. Anyway, they don't. This race doesn't have them, but they only require food. So, if I have a large food overproduction, this is definitely something I would do. I'm also on the back of this doing upgrades which are requiring gold. Might not be my greatest decision, but yeah, I thought I might need some other siege other than the trebuchet, so I figured may as well. See me demolishing a house because one of my dudes is trapped, but yeah, I figured it would be likely that more of these guys would get trapped in this case than... yeah, so I just got rid of the house and built some new ones in the back of my base. At this point I'm also quite convinced that I'm never going to get invaded by an army large enough that it's going to destroy one of my buildings, so I don't really see the use of either trying to wall myself in further, in other words restricting my movement, or... yeah, I've basically decided that strategic placement of buildings in my base is not really required anymore. The only thing I do look at with a little bit more detail is the castles, because yeah, they're such a powerful building. They also require the most stone of the entire game, 650 I think. But then they also have the most HP of the game, I think. I'm not sure. The Wonder might have more, which would be a building that you put down, and if the enemy doesn't destroy it, you've won the game. Can be useful in times, but I generally find a very cheesy way to win, so I don't use it. But it can be useful, can get you out of a pinch. Here I'm building more archery buildings because I want a larger production of these skirmishers. I already have my 2 race-specific units that are powerful infantry units, very powerful infantry units because of an upgrade in the castle. Now looking back on this, the placement of those houses is actually quite nice. This means the guys that would try to sneak in from the back of my base would have to walk around them or destroy them, which would give me time to react. So I think this is actually not a bad placement, but I have to admit this was not something I was considering at the time. It's just, oh, I need some houses, plop plop plop. But yeah, we are getting closer to the end of this recording, so I would think... oh no, we still have a fair bit to go. Yeah, we still have a fair bit to go. Okay. Building more houses. Very good. I think I should be launching my very first attack soon. If I remember correctly, looking at these armies. Yeah, I'm also already putting them in the command groups, which is always something you should do with armies, by the way. It makes your life immensely more easy. Also, this game actually does not have an attack command, which is very annoying at times. But it does have a patrol command, which is basically the same thing, but once they've destroyed everything on their path, they return. Which can lead to some rather strange things if you use it as an attack command, which I do. Yeah, so then, yeah, I destroyed this base. Oh wait, where are all my guys going? Oh, they're going back home. Okay, that's swell. That's swell. Okay. But yeah, if you see some guys running back and forth for some strange reason, that's probably because I forgot to take them off the patrol command. The useful thing about the patrol command is though that you don't have to micro every single attack, which I think is a good thing. In that regard, the CPU definitely has an advantage. He micros each and every single one of his units. Oh, look at all these longbowmen. Damn. The Goths would have massacred them. There are definitely some hard counters versus certain races. It's a good thing to try and scout out what your enemy is. That way you can consider what type of unit you should build most of. These longbowmen are, of course, they have a piercing attack, so they do most of their damage using piercing attacks. This is something you can anticipate in advance. But they definitely should have made different units besides longbowmen. Some champions, or I don't care, even pikemen would have helped. Just something to hold the front line, what these longbowmen cause damage, because they have an insane range. No archer can match them for range. You definitely would either require catapults, or maybe Janissaries would get the same range, which would be the unique unit from the Turks. It's a gunman, basically. A guy with a rifle. But I'm not sure about this. Also because I'm not entirely sure about the range of the longbowmen. I know they have a long range, but I'm not really sure on the exact number. Here you see me just building tons and tons of units. Also, I should probably be a bit more careful with where I spend my gold on, definitely early on in the game. Here you actually see all my guys returning from the patrol command, which can be useful, don't get me wrong, it can be very useful, because that way there's no stragglers in the enemy camp. You can just guard your army when they come back. Can be very useful indeed. Anyway, I don't think I dragged this game on very long after this. I think I just grabbed my guys and attack. Also, I believe it's because I got attacked. Is that accurate? Yeah, I definitely got attacked. Oh yeah, I remember what happened. If you remember, perhaps, I placed my first gold building, my gold mining facility at the back of well, quite a bit away from my base. Initially I did this because if I got attacked from that angle, I already would have mined the gold out a bit. So if some continuous stream of attackers would come, there we go, there are the buildings. They would, I would already have mined that gold instead of the one that's safe inside my base. But in this particular case it was actually an advanced warning system for me, because they attacked those buildings first. So I saw them coming. I had time to form a response, which actually gave me the idea of perhaps if I in the future have wood left, that I should be building these outposts. There are buildings you can of course make, but these outposts might have been useful. Also, they have a ton of monks. I did also do an upgrade that, I believe it's heresy, it's called. That when a monk converts one of my units, they die instead, which is of course very sad. But yeah, if they get converted, it's actually a bigger pain in the ass. So I'm definitely happy about this. It's also very expensive, 1,000 gold, I believe. Oh my voice is, I might cough. Be warned. Okay. I'm covering up my armies. I'm not really... Oh yeah, I saw these battering rams approaching, which are a pain because their missile defense is huge. So you would either require cannon towers, which I don't think, well, definitely know these Indians don't have. Mayans. I think that I keep saying Mayans, and then when I say Mayans, I think no, these are definitely the Aztecs. Yeah, I think Aztecs would be correct here. Mayans would be different, I feel like. Anyway, I'm now approaching my last guy. It's the Mongols, which is not an offensive or an offense towards my enemy, but an accurate statement. They are in fact the Mongolians, I should say, not the Mongols, Mongolians. I feel like they're not really properly represented in this. Ah yeah, now you can see the post-game stats. I won, the enemy saw my brilliant army approaching, I thought, nope, I give up. I might be trying to get this in a somewhat higher difficulty. I did play a bit of